a channel that mend all broken hearts, so come through, guys. We need to have a heavy conversation this morning. Now, by the way, you guys know how ZANU-PF last year refused to dialogue with Chamisa, and then fast forward, like for the past few months, they've been persisting, that requesting Chamisa to come through so he can talk to Emerson Mnangagwa, the president, and then now all of a sudden, Nelson Chamisa discarded their call, and today I can see their morning online today. So before we get into the details of this conversation, and also you're going to be listening to Promise Mukwananzi as well, addressing the issue of President Emerson Mnangagwa, that he will not assume that office come, the August for the Sadc summit. It's quite very interesting, and one thing I'll tell you is that I'm glad the Zimbabweans finally are getting it, that we need to exalt principles more than anything, that if we keep on accepting irregularities or accepting wrong, nothing will work. Nothing will work in the country. So yeah, I would want to know what you guys think in the comment section, but do not forget to subscribe to the channel if it's your first time to pass through here, and make sure that you ring the bell so at least every time I'm live, you're going to be notified immediately. I also want to send out some shout out to Ambassador of Peace. We've got Tira here. Coletta, good to see you. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning here, almost 8 o'clock in Johannesburg. So yeah, quite interesting days ahead, honestly. I'm super excited. I'm like, whatever it takes, for us to get to where we want to, let it be, guys, let it be. We must stand firm and demand that we have a very normal society. And this one I've had also a Wicknell Shivai and partners, Mike Chimombe, escaped. But this is quite very sad in a way that you know what Mike Chimombe and the partners are saying, what they're saying to Zach. But anyway, we explore that much a little bit later. So let's look here at what Daily News is saying in terms of Chamisa, that, he does not want to dialogue. Now, yes, blew it. They said Chamisa blew talks openings. And Charamba says, after he got to read of his interlocutors. Oh, wow. Okay. So they're saying President Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF remain open to national dialogue as long as this will foster unity and help lift the lives of all Zimbabweans. Look the gaslighting. I mean, I remember, for the past months, immediately after elections, that Chamisa kept on pushing. And ZANU-PF didn't want the dialogue. Now all of a sudden they're saying, no, the arms are open. Come through, let's talk. Wow. It's the gaslighting, it's deception. I've told you that this regime is full of deceivers. There are so many deceivers. They act like they are good people and they can turn everything for them. It's a game. The Zimbabwean leadership, it's a gamble for them. They like to chase with our lives, playing chess. They don't even understand that time is moving. They've done this for decades and nobody's going to buy it anymore. Zimbabweans want to be out of this mess. They don't want to be part of the nonsense that we are seeing today. So they say, so says presidential spokesperson Joe Charamba, who also revealed at the weekend that authorities had once again recently invited former Citizen Coalition for Change leader Nelson Chamisa for talks. However, Chamisa had allegedly and inexplicably gone on to muddy the waters by dispatching 2 negotiation teams, which he baffling withdrew in succession. Oh wow, okay. This came after Mnangagwa said appointment. After Mnangagwa had appointed his powerful deputy, Kozano Chiwenga, to lead the engagement with Chamisa. Oh, we didn't know that. Apparently, that allegations are Chiwenga was appointed by Mnangagwa to actually be able to meet up with Chamisa. I'm loving the days that are coming. Guys, let me tell you, 2024. In 2024, we are no longer begging. We are saying things as they are, whether you're going to like it or not. But the truth is to be out. So this is... I was expecting this conversation immediately after elections, like what happened to South Africans. They're on a mission that can show you how pressed President Emerson Mnangagwa is as far as his seat is concerned. Because don't forget that we have the illegitimacy hanging, also the Sadc summit coming. Forget about the two. Now this war debacle of corruption just landed. He has nowhere to escape. Nowhere to escape, because now he's surrounded. Even people within the parameters of ZANU-PF are saying we cannot live like this. I heard the war vets as well said we can't stand the leadership of President Emerson Mnangagwa. Now the opposition, Zimbabweans across the board, the country is stagnant. The zig is failed already before it started. I'm just seeing a lot of ills that he cannot escape. But one thing that I've always been saying is to some people, they don't realize that life is governed by principles. Is you can't expect it to do wrong and then good comes out of it. It doesn't work like that. If you're sowing seeds that are wrong, without a shadow of a doubt, you're going to reap the fruits of wrongs. You know, you can't be abusing your own people and then expect that things will just gonna work out. Now, if people almost 120 will just join us right now, please go in there, like the live, so we push algorithm, inviting everyone to the conversation. Do not forget that the church as well is planning to have a march that is prior to Sadc Summit, which is being led by Bishop Makanga. Don't forget on that. So please send out the word. And I believe that the church being the last point of defense to bring sanity in the country, they need to do what's right and make sure that at least our people live again. Because at the moment, majority of our people are not living. They're just surviving. And a survival is no longer who we are as a people of Zimbabwe. We want to live our life in peace once again. All right, so we're gonna move on. We gave you earlier on the for those that did not see that video, please do yourself a favor and watch the previous video that I ran around 6:30 this morning. And I want you to know that I'm going to be doing videos very early, 6:30 during the day, because there's a lot of activities that is happening. So if I don't have my meetings, depending on the meetings that I have for the day with my other businesses, I'm also going to be in and out. So please just look out for that. Very important. We gave you the resume of Wicknell, which is already there on record right now on this YouTube channel. Please go in and watch what we dropped around 6:30 hours live. And then we also had Satc as well. Satc says they are pursuing Wicknell Mupofin Mike. Not to my surprise, they wrote a letter today back to Satc. I'm saying the criminals are writing a letter, alleged criminals, but I say the criminals because we have seen them. I'm sorry. I don't think I can say alleged criminals because we know these people. Even Satc is confirming we have forthrown evidence to nail these guys. Now, there's a letter that has been sent this morning that they are actually asking Satc that no, we are out of town. We are out of the country. These people are out of the country. You know what breaks my heart? We have people that falls under the other wing for Citizen Coalition for Change who just met over the weekend so they could just dine and celebrate Youth Day, remembering the South African friendship. Because you guys don't forget that the Ndebele people, they also Ndebele in South Africa. So there is a link between the Ndebele people and the Ndebele South Africa. They're just simply having their time out, and then they were arrested. But these guys who have a very strong case to answer, which includes a lot of money, they just been given a leeway to leave the country, and they are sending a letter back to Satc, Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, to say we are out of town. The last time I checked, when I looked at South African, when they're going for hardcore criminals, you don't negotiate with a criminal, or you don't negotiate with an alleged criminal, especially of this caliber. You go in there full throttle to pull them out of the place. But no, these ones are communicating. I saw Wicknell by driving the car, I said, Andikendenge. You see, Andikendenge. That will show you how we have taken our nation to. And they want to woodwink us as the Zimbabwean people to say, no, we are kind of pursuing them. No, we're going to nail them. Are you really nailing them? Because if you really wanted to catch them, the police Zimbabwe, where are you, brothers? But whenever people just gather to have a meeting or to enjoy, you go there and nab them. But these ones, you know, your eyes can't see. And this is why sometimes when I see pictures circulating of some of our police forces wearing torn clothes, shoes that are torn, and I'm like, hold on. You love this lifestyle. You love to suffer. I see the army as well. There was a time I saw plates that were circulating with nesads and cabbages. I was like, no, you want that life, because you know what? If you don't want the life, if you're fed up with the life, then you let people do the right thing to give you the life that you deserve. But unfortunately, you always be in the way. You're being used by the very same politicians. I don't understand. Don't you know that the politicians are simply human beings? Why do you want to hail these people like gods that they can push you around? You have the right to say, but what does the Constitution say about my job as a policeman? Or what does the Constitution say about my work as an army general or an army personnel? But the Zimbabwean situation is really sad. That's why I have respect for South Africa. You see, South African commissioner is on record reminding the police that, listen, you owe allegiance to the bird. You owe allegiance to the bird, the South African flag. Zimbabwean police officers and army, hear me out, my brothers. You owe allegiance to the flag and the bird. These politicians that you see, tomorrow they won't be there. But you're going to look back and realize how much time you wasted entertaining nonsense. How much time you wasted that could have saved your children. Today you could be living in the most beautiful houses, owning cars that you buy cash, driving on roads that are really functioning. But look where you are today. Look where you are. Because you're protecting the same criminals that are holding us at ransom. I'm just saying, honestly, it's time for police to definitely introspect. And the army, it's time for you guys to introspect. Now, the message that was sent out this morning, that this is how ex-convict tycoon is not a tycoon. Please, I don't know why people want to use the abuse words. Wicknell is not a tycoon. he's a gangster. He's on record. He said, I'm a gangster, holding guns all over the place. You call him a tycoon? Guys, you're pushing narratives that are wrong in society. Call things as they are. Wicknell is not a tycoon. He is on record saying, I'm a gangster. Tycoon? Wow. So they said he reacted to the statement from the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, saying they want to interview him and his partners, Mike Chimombe, Moses Mpofu, with whom he is now bitterly fighting over the 40 million election tender deal. Sadc is now investigating the issue, prompting the letter written by Shivayo's partners and Mike and Mpofu, and his own audio notes spilling the beans. In this social media reel posted soon after the Sadc statement, Shiva is seen in a traveling car listening to Ja Praiser song titled Vano Reza Museve, with the lyrics which goes Vano Nyauza and Kendenge, sorry my bad, Vano Reza Museve. They are making irritating noise, but I do not care. They are sharpening their pointed arrows at me. Honestly, guys, if I was Shiva too, knowing that I've had like I had the president on speed dial, you know, you know what I mean? Like I have the president on speed dial. You know, I always like to equate that in present analogy of a woman who get married to a man, maybe with children, right? And she has an upper hand. She's gonna say, no, but I have this man on speed dial. I can do whatever I want, right? I don't care about your complaints. He has the president on speed dial. Why would he care? Why would he care? He said, on record. I'm in control. That's what that means. So why would you want him to even kendenga? Right? So sometimes we need to say things as they are. I wouldn't even kendenga too if I knew that I have the president on speed dial. I could call the president right now. Why would I care? Sometimes we need to say things as they are, right? But I said, the ones that are innocent, they're being arrested. There's Vana Timba. They are going to be today early in the morning, in court, for nothing. So I want to read for you why these Citizen Coalition for Change people were arrested for. What were they arrested for? So Fazema sent out a message here, a segment that I was there. She said, I've just been at the police station to visit Senator Jameson Timber and some of the youth activists who were arrested yesterday. Senator Timber reports as follows. He gave use of his warm to youth activists who wanted to commemorate International Youth Day, which is the anniversary of the June Skisin Soweto uprising. It was a private commemoration that would include a braai and other youth-focused activities. He left them at it while he went to celebrate Father's Day with his son, who is about to go to university in the US. He received a call a while later to be told armed riot police had blocked off his home and thrown tear gas into his garden. He allegedly drove home with his son only to see the police arresting everyone at his home, including tenants who had nothing to do with the meeting and those randomly walking in the road he lives in. They were beaten. In the road he lives in, they were beaten severely with baton sticks. He was arrested on arrival. He's 19-year-old, who is a stellar student, sportsman, and all-round high performer, was not a part of the meeting, but was also arrested in the dragnet for being in the company of his father on a Father's Day. We need new leaders. So they are arresting a man and the people who are having bride, and an incredible son who's simply having good time with his father on Father's Day. They're assassinating these people from just having a good time. But real criminals can parade their criminal proceeds right in front of everyone, and they are being left alone. Okay, I don't want to be angry. This is what I'm saying. Police Zimbabwe, you need to start introspecting. Because before, I do not want to hear people telling me that, no, we are just being summoned. Hey, we don't know, we are small fish. Hold on. Small fish with no principles. Small fish with no principles. Whom are you owing allegiance here? Because you do not forget, you're owing allegiance to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is not politicians. Zimbabwe is the rest of the people, which includes those that you are arresting that are simply having bride. A son who went out with his father just to enjoy Father's Day. You are robbing him that time with his own father because a politician sent you there. This is wrong. This is really wrong, guys. I can see some people say they can't hear me. Is that for sure? You guys, can you hear me? Yeah, you see, I've seen that people have got different types of gadgets, and some of them complain. People say they can hear me, they are responding. Others say they cannot. Please, it's only one person. I'm sure you need to adjust your volume, my brother or sister. I didn't see you properly, but yeah, there's a lot of wrongs that's going on in this country, and that they just go unchallenged, especially the issue of you robbing me time with my daddy because a politician sends you. And this politician is at his home with his own kids. Now, guys, this does not need, you don't need to think, you don't need to go to university to know that right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm saying this to Police Zimbabwe. You don't need to go to university to know the wrong things and the right things. Aye, man, no, this is wrong. It is really wrong. It is wrong. Anyway, moving on. I told you that Promise Mkwananzi is on record now saying President Mnangagwa will not assume that the Sadc post. So I'm very sorry this morning when we were trying to run this show, for some reason something happened with a glitch, but I'm back now so that you guys can hear Promise Mkwananzi speaking. He said President Mnangagwa will not assume the position because there's a lot that's going to be happening in the country to block him. And first and foremost, I said I just love the fact that principles are reigning supreme. We must be a nation that is governed by principles. We are tired of today is that, tomorrow is that. There are no rules. This whole constitution has been bastardized a million times. Nobody respects, especially politicians within the parameters of ZANU-PF, do not respect our constitution. They do as they please. They do as they please. So he sent out a message and said, no to GNU, the Government of National Unity. No to 2030. There is no 2030 extension. No to third term. In your dreams, it won't happen. No to SADC-Zim Chairmanship. It will not happen. No to illegitimacy. And this is Promise Mkwananzi to President Mnangagwa. No to corruption. No to dynasty. You will never be able to continue with your dynasty. No to police brutality. That's what he's saying. And no to unjust taxes. That's Promise Mkwananzi. But he went on to have a very long, interview that I want you guys to listen to. He made it clear that we are working tirelessly to make sure that it will never happen. And I also heard quite a number of people saying that this chairman thing is going to be very difficult because even yesterday I was listening to Zambia having, an interview with Nigeria. That was Joseph Mumba and another analyst, political analyst. They said it's going to be very difficult because you also heard President Mnangagwa recently telling Putney that he's feeling lonely, and he's right. President Mnangagwa is right that he's lonely. He's right. He's very lonely because South Africa today, the same Ramaphosa is now having a coalition with the wise people that he says he hurts. Even though we see them gallivanting and be selling our minerals, gold and diamonds, they just pretend to the Zimbabwean people, hoodwinking people. And I'm going to tell you why this criminal cabal is so strong. I'll tell you why. We're going there. So, he is feeling lonely. And we also know that there's been a lot of fights between Zimbabwe and Zambia recently because of the report, that elections were not free and fair. So for that reason, President Mnangagwa is feeling lonely because no one is there now to kind of supporting what's going on in the country, especially as far as abusing people's rights is concerned. You saw Mozambique recently, baptizing the successor that is coming up. A 47-year-old man is going to be, as a contestant within the Liberation Party in Mozambique. Now we, in a Zimbabwean context, we don't even know who's going to succeed President Mnangagwa. We just hear a lot of speculations that there's fight within the camp because Chiwenga and Muchangwa are also vying for the very same post of succeeding Mnangagwa. But we do not have to forget that we have Savia Kasukure as well. We can see a campaign that's going on X that is going to be there in 2028. So I think there's already a battle within the camp where people are saying, I want to be the one. So that's very important right now. The bottom line is that President Mnangagwa is feeling lonely. And I'm saying I agree with him. He's definitely lonely because most of his friends within the parameters of the liberation struggle who have been pushing an agenda of liberation blackmail are now naked because they are now in bed with different people that they say they hurt before. So where to from now? I guess that's why there's all these lies in daily news now that Chamisa did not want the dialogue because they realize that, we are on our own. Countries are moving on. People are having discussions. They're pushing on fixing their country. Where to from here? What are we going to do? So we're going to be listening to Promise Mukwananzi right now. And listen to him say it will not happen. There won't be no chairmanship. We'll do everything in our power to make sure that is blocked. So let's take a listen to Promise Mukwananzi, please.
Through their march, and this is happening 40 years after independence, which independence at the center of it was the issue of the freedoms of the people of Zimbabwe. And it is a stark reminder that 42 years after independence, we still do not have the so-called rights that we fought for. I want to say that in addition to the security from the Almighty, the bishop and the people that are going to march are also protected and secured by Section 59 of the Zimbabwean Constitution, which makes it permissible for Zimbabwean citizens to express themselves in peaceful and non-violent manner on issues where they have a challenge or they are not happy about. So we must proceed in terms of carrying out peaceful and non-violent actions under the auspices of Section 59 of the Constitution. I had to say this because it appears that it's in Zimbabwe, peaceful protests have been outlawed, and that is not the case. Zimbabweans still have an absolute right to protest, to picket, to petition, as provided for by Section 59 of the Constitution, and indeed various other relevant provisions. And I want to also pick up on the spiritual war, which the bishop ably articulated. I think it's very important that our struggle is centered on a living God. And everything happens at the appointed time according to God's will. We are now going into the physical actions as described by the doctor. And as the citizens movement, we endorse any process that is peaceful, lawful, and non-violent that seeks to put pressure on the Mnangagwa regime to address the concerns, not just of the citizens, but as the diaspora as well as of the region and the international community, which were communicated through their various reports after the disputed elections. In light of that, we have come up with a campaign which is called Zimbabwe Arise campaign. Many of you may have seen something circulating which says no to GNU, no to 2030, no to third term, no to SADC-Zim Chairmanship, no to illegitimacy, no to corruption, no to dynasty, no to police brutality, no to unjust taxes, and no to partisan food distribution. And I hasten to say that you may add other no's that you see as citizens that are unacceptable at the moment in our country, in Zimbabwe. Now, to give context to this dispute, you will all remember that in August 2023, an election was conducted. And there is no need for a rocket scientist to know that that election did not go according to plan, let alone produce a legitimate and undisputed winner. And the reasons for that were spelled out very clearly by the observer missions that were in the country, by the presidential candidate Advocate Nelson Chamisa, by civil society, by the churches, by the generality of the citizenry, and indeed many others. So that is the starting point, that we have had an inconclusive, disputed election that has failed to produce a legitimate, undisputed leader in Zimbabwe. And the comparison with the just ended elections in South Africa will give you the stark realities of the shambolic and sham process that took place in Zimbabwe. In South Africa, for example, they've got about 50 million citizens, and they had a budget of 118 million US dollars. Whereas here in Zimbabwe, we've got about 15 million citizens, and we have a budget of 255 million US dollars. And if you look at the voting process here in Zimbabwe, we could not even find ballot papers at polling stations, whereas in South Africa, results and the whole electoral process was digitalized. It was timers, it was free and fair, there was no intimidation, no murder, no arrest. The elections went as free and fair as possible. The results were posted on time, and those that had issues like the Mkhonto Sizwe Party, their issues were attended to by the IEC on a timely basis. But in Zimbabwe, almost a year after the elections, the issues that were raised by the presidential candidate Advocate Nelson Chamisa have still not been attended to. As if that is not enough, the regime went on to unlawfully recall members of parliament, council, and senate that had been elected or seconded under the ticket of the then Citizens Coalition for Change as led by President Nelson Chamisa. Now that exacerbated the problem of legitimacy for Mr. Mnangagwa. Paradoxically, Mr. Mnangagwa himself has worsened his own position by undermining even the results, the cooked results that he had officially announced himself and his sake, and going on to recall our members of parliament, thereby further delegitimizing not just the parliament but also himself and his government, and exposing himself as somebody who is not willing to respect the will of the people, even according to the cooked figures that he had announced. So there a problem began. Furthermore, the regime has gone on an unstoppable tirade of corruption. We have endemic institutionalized corruption in Zimbabwe that has adversely affected the generality of our people. We have heard the likes of Shivayo and many others that I cannot mention, that I can mention the whole day, who are sitting on the jar of the nation and using national resources to enrich themselves and line up their pockets at the expense of hospitals. People are dying like flies in hospitals. There is no machinery, there is no equipment, there is no medication. Our education system has deteriorated. Our infrastructure is in jeopardy, and many other problems that I can imagine. The economy is in disarray. There is policy ambivalence in terms of our monetary and fiscal position. Nobody knows which is which. Nobody knows what John Mshavanu announced tomorrow in terms of the fiscal and monetary policies of the country, and that has caused a lot of problems. There is general lawlessness in the country. Every law is manipulated to suit the agenda of those that are in power, and the laws that don't suit are either amended or totally defied. We want to see the actualization of the Constitution and the return to the rule of law in Zimbabwe. There are issues of human rights abuses that are all over the country. People are busy every day. Our people are being displaced. Their houses are being burnt. Recently, there was the parliamentary public hearings on some of the bills that Mr. Mnangagwa wants to pass, and citizens were not allowed to debate. They were manhandled, some were arrested in Masvingo, they were beaten, they were silenced because they want to pass that bill through hook and crook. And the diaspora, one of the major contributors to economic well-being of this country, have never been allowed to vote. We saw South African diaspora voting. We have seen so many diaspora populations of various countries voting. It is only Zimbabwe that continues to deny the diaspora their vote. But ironically, it is Zimbabwe that is at the forefront of calling for remittances from the diaspora. So this is the context of the dispute in this country. And I want to underline that Sadc itself highlighted in its report and in its findings through their observer missions that the elections in Zimbabwe had fallen abysmally short of the barest minimum of an election that can be regarded as free and fair. And for Sadc to disregard or ignore or defy their own report and go ahead to institute the chairmanship onto Zimbabwe will be a travesty of justice, and is going to have an indelible mark on the reputation of Sadc. And I hope that this is something that Sadc leaders can seriously think about. In our view, there is nothing amiss or there is nothing wrong with Sadc skipping Zimbabwe from the chairmanship and giving it to another country until the disputes that relate to Zimbabwe in terms of the electoral outcomes are resolved. The chairmanship can always come back to Zimbabwe. And we are going to be writing formally to Sadc to suggest that we believe that it is inappropriate and it is not in the best interest of Sadc's reputation to proceed to give Zimbabwe Sadc chairmanship against their very own report, which cited very, very deep irregularities in the past elections. And we cannot, as citizens of this country, say that we are going to go ahead, including Sadc itself, to the next election without resolving the issues that were raised by the COM report in the previous elections in Zimbabwe. And our thrust, as we discuss the dispute that is underway, many people in ZANU-PF want to wish away the elections. That will not happen. We cannot wish away what happened. We have to bite the bullet. We have to face the elephant in the room. We have to resolve the issues that keep coming up whenever there are elections in Zimbabwe. We don't want a disputed election anymore. And the thrust for me, at least from the point of view of the movement that I speak on behalf of, we want a political dialogue that will be focused on ensuring that we address the root causes of disputed elections in this country. And the root causes of disputed elections in this country are in the public domain. We all know why elections in Zimbabwe have continually failed to fulfill minimum requirements of free and fair elections. And yet, In theory, in our constitution, the electoral rules are laid out clearly. We need a change of political culture in Zimbabwe. We need political reforms. We need to go into an election that will produce a leader that will not be disputed by anybody, by the people of Zimbabwe, and even by Sadc. And because of the fact that Mr. Mnangagwa has delegitimized not only himself, he has delegitimized parliament, he has delegitimized the judiciary, we have to go back to the citizens' parliament, which is the people. We will now be operating in the citizens' parliament. The things that we cannot ask for in parliament because our MPs are silenced, we will ask for from the street together with the citizens of our country. And in order to do that, we want to see a broad-based alliance of progressive forces and organizations in the country, from the political parties to civil society, to churches, to students, to labor, to the informal sector. We are all affected. We all don't have medicine. We all don't have the means to get our people to be cured when they get sick. We all can't afford rent. We all can't afford education. And yet we see people flaunting money like confetti all over the place. And we need to bring that to an end. And this, it doesn't matter whether you are in ZANU-PF, in CCC, in MDC, it is a Zimbabwean issue. And we must ensure that every Zimbabwean, in particular those that are in ZANU-PF, are able to put an end to this rot that we see. And this, we want to endorse the program of the church. As you know, that the church has been playing a leading role historically in all struggles for freedom and liberation. The church has always remained central for its spiritual discernment as well as for its moral role in terms of being the moral compass of any society. So we want to endorse the program of the church. We will be supporting the churches as they pray for the country, as they peacefully march to demand some of the things that I've just highlighted. And we saw what happened in Russia, and from a diplomatic point of view, we know the implications of the leaked video. As far as Malawi and Zambia and other people that were mentioned in that video, we know the implications of that, and that further worsens the position of Mr. Mnangagwa from being the chairperson of Sadc. To conclude, Chief speaks about Tajamuka. I want to say that once Tajamuka, always Tajamuka. And Tajamuka is not a person or a group of people. It is a national sentiment to say at this stage in our country we cannot sit and watch. We have to take action. And as we go forward, I think that we must turn the tide now and begin to take actions, no matter how small. The first step is to make the decision to say, from wherever I'm sitting in my locality, I'm going to do what is permissible in a democratic society, to push for reforms, to push for change, and to push for the restoration of legitimacy in our country. So we're getting into a phase of peaceful and non-violent actions that will be undertaken by any citizen from wherever they are, in terms of the laws of our country. And we want to see that happening. And in conclusion, I want to say that if we are united together as citizens, we've worried too much about the elites. We've worried too much about the elite rapture within the CCC. We shouldn't be worried about that. We must not be worried about that. We must be worried about the people, the generality of the people of this country who make the greater part of Zimbabwe. That is the people that we are concerned about. And those that are the people who wield the power to change this country. And those are the people we are speaking to today. We are speaking to the ordinary citizens of our country in their various facets, classes, and styles to say, look, this Zimbabwe is ours together. We cannot wait for President Nelson Chamisa to free this country on his own. He has done his part. He campaigned, he won the elections, and he has stood strong to say, I will not be co-opted, I will not be intimidated. I know that I won this election and I want this electoral issue to be resolved. It is now up to us as citizens to support that position, to support him and to support the cause. We elected President Chamisa. We must ensure that we insist that the will of the people must be recognized in Zimbabwe. Many others start, they cry, say, the CCC has been destroyed, the CCC has been hijacked. Look, you can hijack 80 or 100, whatever number of MPs we have. You can hijack the logo of the CCC, but you cannot hijack the resolve of the people of Zimbabwe. The 2 million Zimbabweans that voted for President Nelson Chamisa cannot be hijacked. The 2 million votes that they got in a cooked election cannot be hijacked. And the million others who are disenfranchised, who support change in Zimbabwe, their resolve cannot be hijacked. So we must draw confidence from knowing that we are the majority, we are many, and together, if we collaborate and combine our efforts, we will be able to bring sanity and restore law and order in our country. I thank you.
All right, so you heard our Promise Mokonan's on record now talking about what's going to be happening prior to the Sadc summit. So they are saying there won't be any chairmanship. We are now requesting that the chairmanship can actually be given to another country in the interim where we resolve our issues. I completely agree. Imagine expecting someone to lead you in such a person who is making a mess like that. The corruption around the president is beyond words. Him again being accused of being the most corrupt man in town. I don't think that he qualifies to actually be a chairmanship of Sadc. I don't think he does qualify. I'm not a person who's going to be sitting here and try to bootlick people. No, I don't bootlick politicians. The bottom line is that he does not qualify to be the chairman of Sadc. How can he be a chairman and be able to lead people like, South Africa? You look at Malawi, Botswana, and Tanzania, where a woman is a leader, but the country is functioning. You have never had any fights. Have you ever had anything? No. It's always Zimbabwe at the forefront. Now, this is my main worry, and I want to ask a question to ZANU-PF people and say, honestly, where do you think you're taking the country to? Things have reached another level. It's no longer working. If I were you, you could have considering a dialogue immediately after elections. Unfortunately, you were adamant. But what you didn't know is you were literally digging yourself more deeper and deeper and deeper. But this one I want to talk about. I think I told you earlier on that I gave an analysis, a foundation or a resume for Wicknell that is on record that he put out himself, calling himself a gangster. I want you to know what happened in a South African context. The way Wicknell is operating and his friends, and he's not the only one. There are lots of people who are a part of this gang in Zimbabwe. A lot of people are corrupt in that country that prison is going to be packed. Those ones need their own prison. I even said to myself, no, why can't we consider mob justice? Put them in the ground and tell people to moor them. Mob justice first. They need to be taught a lesson. You know what I'm saying? Because the way they've made us people suffer for years is unexplainable. You can't. And I'm saying that the way these people operate is quite very interesting. You see him taking pictures almost like every leader, beat presidents, is creating a profile, woodwinking people so they can use that to steal. Because, you're like, but I saw him with the president. It's like a woman who says, I want to marry a man because he's holding the pastor's Bible. I've been in the church all my life, so I know what I'm talking about. He's holding the pastor's Bible. No, him holding the pastor's Bible doesn't mean that he's a spiritual person or he plays the keyboard, in the church. It doesn't make him a good man. Those kind of guys are known for playing women dirty. You know why? Because women love power and things. You know what I'm saying? So these guys, the way they operate is quite very interesting. But if you look, South Africa has got more or less the same people. These guys, they are known in local spaces like locations, they get respected with their behavior. They are known. And when someone dies within the camp of their gangster groups, they're the one that shoots in the air, they drive expensive cars, they do huge parties. You know, white parties. You call them white parties, white parties. Those are their parties. They're all rituals because the activities are really rooted on a very dangerous satanic covenant. It's a satanic covenant. These people are very connected. Either they're going to be masquerading as Christians, in the apostolic church, and you believe that, oh my God, this guy goes to church every time. No, those are rituals. They are covenants that they're operating from. Those ones in South Africa, they are known for working with sangomas very closely with sangomas. Very closely, they are known for how they operate. And I know some of them I've met them and asked them questions, and they will give me answers. And this is exactly how these guys are operating. But because they are so much rooted in a flamboyant lifestyle, and you guys are saying, no, he drives the latest car in town. You're begging and you're worshiping them. But what you must know, it's all a game. It's a game. It's part and parcel of those covenants or those altars or cults. They're cults. It's a cultic mission. This is why Zimbabwe will never function until we do away with the evil that's going on in the country. People are not willing to tell the truth, but let me tell you, see, fake prophets, it's a syndicate of cults, satanic and wicked covenants to destroy, to run destinies down, to lure the young people, think, oh, that's a lifestyle. Now I can join the big boys. There's no big boys anywhere. It's a satanic syndicate. You'll see them, how they operate. Now I've seen, do you think that they just left the country? No. I can tell you they were told to say, no, just leave. We're going to woodwink and play them like they always do, messing up with your mind like, oh no, you know what? We are investigating, or before you know it, it's gone. This time, they won't escape. This time they will not escape because Zimbabweans are fed up. Which includes those that are protecting them. They're also going to be answerable. Those that are protecting are also going to be answerable. I say to myself, the people that are in Satc, some of them need to be arrested. You can't spend $33 million, but still don't even arrest one person. What were you doing? What kind of investigation were you doing that you used $33 million? That's trillions of rands to investigate and still come out with nothing. Nothing, not one person is arrested. In fact, the country is losing more and more money. It's a syndicate. That's why if you saw what happened recently, when they to employ judges would not have a clue of how to conduct an interview. If a person don't even know how to use a computer in 2024, a judge wants to be a judge in the High Court. Did you hear them answering questions in the High Court? It's because they know they just give them instructions or what to do. There's nothing they're going to do. It's just to do this. They're just doing their dirty work. It's time we put a stop to this wickedness in this country and say, brothers, time is gone. Don't play around politics and try to mess up with our mind. This evil needs to be stopped by all means necessary. Every Zimbabwean across the world need to stand and say, not in this place again. There's nothing fancy about these men and women. They must be locked up. I pray that they don't abolish death sentence. They must execute them. They don't deserve to live. They're a cancer to our society. They've ruined lives. Today we have drug addiction in the country, and they're the ones behind all these, satanic actions. They're the ones. It's all their game to make sure they keep on being in control. And as people have to rise up and put a stop to it and say not again. And I stand and I can put my life online and call you out, brothers and sisters, all of you, and said you're going to pay for it heavily. You're going to pay for your evil. I said heavily. You're not going to escape. We'll get you. We will get you. You cannot make our people suffer and think that you can get away with it and just say, oh, it's gone and now we're... No, it's not gone. We'll get you. We'll get you. I don't even understand why they can't even talk about Sadc. How did Sadc get to give Wicknell that tender. And the people are alleging that actually Wicknell is dating, these allegations, is dating Priscilla Chigumba. I saw the allegations on X. How do you, tell me, what kind of business, what kind of a tender is that? I don't even want to talk much about the tender. I'm talking about the pain that Zimbabweans have been going through for years, for decades. This is why they don't care. They tell you, Budai Munyika. Because you know why? They want to keep on looting and live their flamboyant life without nobody question. Not again. Not again. Zimbabweans deserve to be in their home. We deserve to be in Zimbabwe. It's our country. They do not own Zimbabwe. It's time we stand firm. There's nothing fencing. Men and women, especially men. How dare you allow few men to abuse you? Stand firm. Come together, organize, and head on, face them, and bring them down. We cannot carry on like this. We are living our lives like we are destitute. No. It is a no. Our people deserve to live a normal life. Our people deserve to live a normal life. Enough to try to threaten people. It is enough. Every thug must be arrested. If I said, make sure that they don't abolish death sentence. Execute them. Execute them. They don't deserve to be. You see what happened in Rwanda? People were fired, firing squad. Today, there's respect in the country because they know that you do not mess up with state resources. China, people are being executed, but Chinese coming in Zimbabwe, they do as they please. They are looting freely, working in courts with the very same gangs of people. It's time for us to stand up and say it cannot happen, not again. Not again. Our people deserve a better life. Please, if you come here, I'm going to block you. I know that you're actually the one, Murakash. Don't try. You can't play your dirty nonsense with me. I don't take it. Okay. Don't come and tell me about beware of who? Do you think I'm a person who's afraid of a human being? You should be afraid yourself. Don't project your own toxicity on me. I'm not afraid of human beings. The only person I fear is God. I've made it very clear. For those who know me, they know I'm not afraid of human beings. Human beings I respect. And if you do wrong, I'll call you out. It is as simple as that. I don't have to be afraid of anybody. I respect human beings. I've lived in South Africa where there are real true gangs, not what you're telling me. These are small boys, man. What are you talking about? They are small boys. So please, keep quiet. If the fight that they want is the fight that they get. You know what I mean? I'm 20 steps ahead of them. So don't try it, okay? We have got children to protect. We have a society to protect. I cannot be forced to respect few thugs and disown and discount majority of our people who are suffering. All these Zimbabweans, some of them who go to bed on empty stomach. I have to subject my integrity on such a few individuals who are living a fake life, who are terrorizing our society. I don't live my life like that. I do not. I stand for truth and truth alone. If you don't like it or you like it, whatever you think about, truth has to be spoken. We cannot keep on creating a country where people are afraid of living. No. No. It is a no. Now, there is an analysis that was sent out by Brighton Mutebuka, sorry, my bad. And it was talking about the issue of Sadc and this group of thugs. They're working hand in hand, or they work together, of course. And I don't even know why Sadc is not being investigated. Anyway, you know why I'm not even worried about investigators? Because I know even the people that are also assumed to be investigators, they also know that they're part and parcel of the stuff. So it's a waste of time. People are saying, how can Sadc investigate itself? But I saw their leader yesterday saying, we're going to go after them. But how did they leave the country? You told them to say, no, just go out. Why are we buying time? Woodwing them, selling the dummy, playing them dirty. All right, do you think so? Do you think so? Boys, my brothers, come out and put a stop to nonsense. Lock these people in and make sure all of them paid heavily. We'll get them, put them on Interpol across the world until we get all of them back into that country and make sure they pay for every evil they've done. Make sure they pay. So he said, how did Scott pay Cesar Kupanya? and the crew find out about the existence of the secret bid. Number 2, in the public interest, can ZADC-Zim, Justice Priscilla Makanyara Chigumba, publish the forums, platforms where the bid details were shared? Makanyara Chigumba, that lady, I feel for her, honestly, I really do. I feel for her. So were there other secret bidders who were entertained? If so, who using the criteria and was the outcome and can be publicly shared as well? And number 4, is it common cause or public knowledge that Scott is it is common cause, sorry, my bad. It is common cause or public knowledge that Scott Sakupanya is a ZANU-PF member and the owner of holder of a beneficial interest in the going concern known as Better Bronze, domiciled in Zimbabwe. In light of this development, given that he was a ZANU-PF parliamentary candidate at the time, and given that he is clearly a political exposed person, Chigumba's duties of impartiality, independence as a judge or ZADC-Zim chair under section 196 subsection 2 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, did she do due diligence, conflict of interest, anti-money laundering checks? Agreed. I've asked the same questions as well. If so, could that evidence be availed in the public interest, please? If not, could she, ZADC-Zim, provide an explanation pertaining to why this was not done? Number 7, could ZADC-Zim and Chigumba publish all the paper trail and documents setting out who made the decision to award the bid to Better Bronze, when and what the reasons were? 8, could ZADC-Zim and Chigumba publicly clarify whether or not, in addition to the Better Bronze, they were aware of other parties involved in delivering the bid, and if so, whether or not this was allowed under the bid framework? Number 9, given that this public money, could ZADC-Zim Chigumba confirm that they were aware of and approved the invoice of the purchase of server for almost $3 million US? Number 10, if so, did they consider this to be a reasonable and proportionate use of public funds in light of the prevailing market trends for products at the same range of or similar nature? In conclusion, the above questions are pertinent in light of the current explosive allegations pertaining to state capture and high-level corruption. I think the problem that is happening that I'm seeing in Zimbabwe is good. The people within these gangs have been doing evil for a long time. So evil is who they are, is what they believe in. So they at the back of their minds is that nothing's going to be done. We have greased all of the wheels. No, you haven't. You have not. And let me just tell you, they're coming for you. The big boys are coming for you. The big boys are coming for you. The big boys are coming for you. My big boys are coming for you. You're not going to escape. So please, brothers and sisters, you're going to pay it heavily, unfortunately. If it doesn't pay, crime does not pay, especially the crime of this magnitude. Like the problem is you have held Zimbabweans at ransom for decades. You have even had the nerve to tell them to leave the country. Zimbabwe. Really? Zimbabwe for you now. So that you can live the life the way that you want. Gallivanting. They also so much into women. Million slave queens spending our money, living dirty lives. Prostitution. That's who they are. What can they do with the dirty money? Is a man they're just collecting, absolutely doing nothing. They have to spend it with women. There will be consequences, brothers and sisters. And I'm saying this to the police and the army. We all deserve a better Zimbabwe. So we should do the right thing. Not for me, not for anyone, but for the Zimbabwe that we all love, that we know we belong to. We have a generation to be accountable to. Our children deserve a better country. We cannot keep on protecting wrong in the country. We need to stand up and do the right thing for the sake of generations. I love Zimbabwe. I love to see my country win. I love my people to be happy. For that reason, I stand at the forefront is to demand that we do right by our people. It's not about politicians. It's really about a nation that we know is a great nation. But we have allowed thieves or gangsters to take over the space and do as they please. Not only are they doing as they please, they also talk recklessly with our people. They don't care. They said, Atikendenge, because we are holding a gun. It's a lie. Some of them, they're not even sleeping right now. It's a lie. It's just throwing you away so that you guys can shiver. Don't shiver. Stand firm. It is a lie. We'll come out of this, and when we come out, we'll be very strong, and we will be all building a Zimbabwe that we want based on meritocracy, not friendships, not hiring people who can't even do an interview. I know Muzago tried 10 minutes without answering. You need to leave. It's all friends. You know, returning a chief justice who recycling the same old people. You were supposed to be out. Malava was brought back for what? You are supposed to be out. It's all a game. To them, it's a game. And I'm saying this because I love them and I want them to know that their actions will have consequences in future. And there's no doubt about that. They may think that I'm joking, but time will deal with that. Right? Tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Please, if possible, create ghosts and communicate. They do the same. ZANU-PF have got people that are employed to have million ghosts to just bastardize and saying things that are stupid. They call it counterintelligence. I call them foolishness. There's no intelligence like that where you destroy your life being used by people who are living large and you are being given like crumbs. Crumbs? You're being given cars that were never paid. Now they're going to collect them. And you still support that people? No, Zimbabweans, use your brain. You're going to have to apply your brains this time. You're not going to think by your knees. This time you're going to use your brain. God gave you brains for a reason. Think and do the right thing for the sake of your own destiny and your own future. I love you so much. May God bless you and may God bless Zimbabwe. Stand firm. Freedom is coming. Freedom is around the corner. Do not shake. Remain firm. Don't be frightened. Freedom is around the corner. I love you and bye for now.